It was a bright Saturday morning, but for the single mom, the day had already started with stress. She had been rushing to get her son ready for his weekend activities and herself ready for work. Her old car, which had served her faithfully for years, suddenly refused to start. She tried again, turning the key and listening to the engine sputter, but nothing happened. A sense of frustration and helplessness washed over her. She glanced at her watch and realized she was already late. Her son sat quietly in the back seat, looking up at her with a mix of curiosity and concern. "Mom, is everything okay?" he asked softly. "I'm trying, sweetheart," she replied, forcing a small smile despite the worry that gnawed at her. She got out of the car and popped the hood, peering inside at the tangle of wires and engine parts she barely understood. She had always managed small fixes herself, but this time she had no clue what to do. As she stood there, feeling frustrated and slightly embarrassed, a man approached from across the street. He was casually dressed, carrying a tool bag, and had a calm, friendly demeanor. He stopped a few feet away, giving her a polite nod. "Looks like you could use a hand," he said, his voice steady and kind. The mom hesitated for a moment, unsure whether to accept help from a stranger. But something in his tone made her feel safe, so she nodded. "Yes, please. I've tried everything and I can't figure it out." He smiled gently and set his bag down on the curb. "No problem. Let's take a look." He opened the hood and examined the engine with careful attention. The mom watched, slightly amazed at his confidence. He moved with ease, checking wires, testing components, and listening to the engine. She noticed how focused he was, not rushing, but taking the time to ensure everything was assessed correctly. "Looks like the battery is fine," he said after a few minutes. "I think it might be the starter. It's not getting enough power to turn the engine over." "Oh, I didn't even think of that," she replied, relieved that he knew what to do. She had felt completely lost staring at the engine, not knowing where to begin. He smiled. "Don't worry, it happens to everyone. I've fixed cars like this before. We can have it running in no time." While he worked, they began talking casually. She learned his name and he asked about her day, her son, and her work. The conversation was light but genuine, full of small laughs and mutual respect. She felt at ease, realizing that he wasn't just helping her mechanically, but also giving her a sense of calm during a stressful morning. Her son, who had been sitting quietly, started to watch closely. He had always been interested in how things worked, and seeing someone skilled with tools sparked his curiosity. "Can I watch?" he asked. "Of course," the man said kindly. "You can watch and maybe later I can show you a few things." The boy's eyes lit up. He had never seen anyone work on a car like this before. The man's patience and clear explanations made him feel included rather than ignored. He asked questions and the man answered each one carefully, never rushing and never making him feel silly. As the minutes passed, the mom couldn't help but notice the connection forming between her son and this man. It was subtle, but she saw the boy's excitement and engagement. She realized how important it was for him to have someone positive and patient in his life, someone who could guide him and inspire curiosity. Finally, after carefully adjusting a few components and testing the starter, the man turned the key and the engine roared to life. The mom let out a sigh of relief, smiling broadly. "Thank you so much," she said, genuinely grateful. "I don't know what I would have done without you." He shook his head. "It's no problem at all. I'm happy to help." She reached into her purse and pulled out some cash, offering it to him. "Please, at least let me pay you for your time." He waved her off. "No need for that. Helping is enough. I'm just glad it's working again." The mom smiled, feeling a mix of relief and admiration. She had expected to struggle through the morning, but instead, she had met someone kind and capable who had turned the situation around. Her son, still watching closely, looked up at the man with admiration. As they gathered their things, the mom felt a sense of hesitation. She wanted to express her gratitude in a way that truly mattered. "You know," she said slowly, "my son could really use someone like you in his life. Someone patient who can guide him and show him how to do things properly." The man looked surprised but listened attentively. "He seems like a bright kid," he said, smiling at the boy. "Curious, observant. He asks good questions." "Yes, he is," she replied. "I try to teach him, but I don't always have the time or the knowledge for certain things." Would you consider guiding him? Maybe teaching him a few skills? Spending some time with him? I think he could really learn a lot from you." The man paused, thinking carefully. He had never been asked to mentor a child before, but there was something genuine about the mom and her son. He could see the potential in the boy and understood the responsibility that would come with guiding him. "I'd be willing to spend some time with him," he said finally. We can start small. Show him a few things, maybe work on projects together. If it helps him learn and grow, I'd be happy to do it. The mom's face lit up with relief and gratitude. Thank you. I can't tell you how much this means to us, really. Her son, shy at first, finally spoke. Thank you, he said quietly. The man nodded warmly in response, and the boy smiled slightly, feeling encouraged. Over the next few days, they arranged their first meeting. The man brought a few tools and simple projects, showing the boy how to check an engine, measure fluids, and understand the basics of car mechanics. The boy listened intently, asking questions and absorbing every detail. The mom watched from a distance, feeling grateful and hopeful. She noticed changes in her son immediately. He seemed more confident, more willing to explore new challenges, and more eager to learn. The man's guidance wasn't just about cars, it was teaching patience, problem-solving, and attention to detail. The boy was thriving, and the mom could see the positive influence growing stronger each day. Meanwhile, the bond between the man and the family deepened. He wasn't just a helper or mentor. He became a trusted presence in their lives. His kindness and patience showed the boy that adults could be supportive, encouraging, and reliable. The mom felt a weight lift off her shoulders, knowing her son had someone positive guiding him. The boy began to look forward to their meetings, sometimes asking to spend extra time learning new things. The man noticed the boy's enthusiasm and encouraged it, providing small challenges that allowed him to grow while feeling accomplished. Each project, each lesson, became a step in the boy's development and a chance to strengthen their bond. For the mom, the experience was transformative. She had met a stranger who had not only helped her in a practical way, but had also become a source of guidance and inspiration for her son. It reminded her of the importance of kindness, mentorship, and the unexpected ways people could make a difference in each other's lives. The story of that day, the car breaking down, the man's unexpected help, and the beginning of a mentorship would remain with the family forever. It showed that small acts of kindness could lead to life-changing connections, shaping the future of a young child in profound ways. And so, what began as a stressful morning with a broken car became the start of a journey filled with learning, growth, and human connection. One act of help had opened the door to new opportunities, lessons, and lasting bonds, proving that sometimes the simplest gestures could have the most significant impact. After the first day of the boy's lessons, the single mom noticed a change in both her son and herself. The boy came home excited, talking nonstop about what he had learned. He described how to check a car battery, measure fluids, and even how to use a wrench properly. His hands were a little greasy and his shirt had smudges, but the sparkle in his eyes was unmistakable. The mom smiled, realizing that something meaningful had begun. That evening, she prepared dinner while listening to her son explain the projects in detail. She realized how important it was for him to have a positive male role model in his life. She had tried her best to guide him on her own, but there were limits. She wanted him to learn more than just survival skills. She wanted him to learn confidence, patience, problem-solving, and responsibility. Seeing how attentive and engaged the man was with her son, she felt a wave of relief. The next weekend, they planned another meeting. The boy couldn't wait to see the man, asking repeatedly if it was time to go. When they arrived, the man greeted them warmly. "Ready for today's project?" he asked, carrying a small toolbox. The boy nodded eagerly. "Yes, can we fix the brakes this time?" The man chuckled. "We can start with something simpler first, then move to that. It's important to understand the basics before tackling bigger things." They found a quiet spot in the man's garage, which smelled faintly of oil and rubber. The boy watched carefully as the man laid out tools and explained each one's purpose. The lesson wasn't rushed. The man was patient, explaining things step by step, encouraging questions and praising small successes. "Why do we check the oil first?" The boy said. "Because it keeps the engine running smoothly," the man replied. "If we don't check it, the engine can get damaged. It's about taking care of things before problems happen." The boy nodded, absorbing the lesson. It wasn't just about cars. It was about thinking ahead, taking responsibility, and understanding consequences. These were lessons that went beyond mechanics. Lessons the mom had hoped someone would teach him. After a few hours of hands-on learning, the man showed the boy how to solve simple mechanical problems, emphasizing patience and careful observation. The boy's confidence grew with each task he completed. He felt proud, Not just because he had accomplished something, but because someone had taken the time to teach him with patience and respect. The mom watched from the side, quietly grateful. She noticed the boy's demeanor changing, not just in skill but in confidence. He asked questions, offered solutions, and even suggested small improvements in projects they worked on. The man listened carefully, correcting mistakes gently and praising good observations. It was the kind of guidance that helped a child feel capable, respected, and encouraged. Over the next few weeks, these sessions became a routine. Every weekend, the boy and the man would meet, working on small projects, learning practical skills, and sharing stories. The boy began to see the man not just as a teacher but as a mentor and a friend. He started talking more about school, his interests, and his dreams, feeling that he had someone to share them with. One Saturday, while they were working on replacing a small part in an old engine, the boy paused and looked at the man. "Do you really think I can do this on my own someday?" he asked, a little uncertain. "I know you can," the man replied firmly. "It will take practice, patience, and focus, but you have the ability. You're already asking the right questions and paying attention. That's how people learn and grow." The boy smiled, encouraged. He had felt unsure at times, but the man's belief in him made a difference. That simple faith strengthened the boy's confidence, showing him that hard work and patience could lead to success. Meanwhile, the mom noticed a change in her son's attitude at home. He became more responsible, helping with small chores, taking care of his things, and showing patience when challenges arose. It was clear that the lessons with the man were teaching him more than just technical skills. They were shaping his character. The boy also started showing interest in problem-solving beyond cars. He asked questions about how things worked in general, how machines functioned, and even about simple electrical circuits at home. The man encouraged this curiosity, explaining concepts patiently and allowing the boy to experiment safely. The boy was learning that mistakes were part of the process and that trying again was important. One afternoon, while they were working together, the boy said something that caught the mom's attention. "I like learning from him," he said. "He doesn't just tell me what to do. He shows me and helps me think for myself." The mom felt a surge of gratitude. That was exactly what she had hoped for her son. A mentor who would inspire independence, curiosity, and confidence. She realized that finding someone who could provide guidance, patience, and care was one of the best gifts her son could receive. The man also noticed the boy's progress. He saw how much the child had learned in a few weeks and how he was applying those lessons beyond the projects. He felt proud, not in a boastful way, but in a quiet satisfaction knowing that his guidance was making a real difference. They also shared small moments of laughter, stories, and personal experiences. The man would sometimes talk about his own challenges when he was young, the mistakes he made, and the lessons he learned. The boy listened intently, seeing that even adults had struggles, but with patience, determination, and guidance, they could overcome them. Through these sessions, the bond between the boy and the man grew stronger. It was more than teaching. It was mentorship, friendship, and support. The boy began to open up more about his feelings, his worries, and his dreams. He learned to communicate better, to think critically, and to trust the guidance he received. The mom observed quietly, noticing how her son's confidence had blossomed. She felt a sense of relief, knowing that he had someone to guide him, someone he could trust and learn from. She realized that the small act of fixing her car had created an opportunity far greater than she had imagined. The man also gained something from the experience. He found joy in teaching and mentoring. He appreciated the trust the family had placed in him, and the responsibility of helping shape a young mind. It reminded him of the importance of guidance, patience, and human connection. Lessons that were valuable not just for the boy, but for himself as well. One day, while they were cleaning up after a session, the boy asked, "Will we always work on projects together?" The man smiled. "For as long as you want to learn and I can help, yes. Learning is a lifelong journey. And I'm happy to be part of yours." The boy grinned, feeling reassured. He realized that this wasn't just about cars or tools. It was about having someone who cared, who would guide him, and who believed in his potential. As weeks turned into months, their routine continued. The boy's skills improved, but more importantly, so did his attitude, confidence, and understanding of responsibility. The mom noticed how much calmer and happier he seemed, how much more willing he was to try new things. and how proud he was of his accomplishments. The man, for his part, was patient, encouraging, and consistent. He taught the boy not just skills but also the value of persistence, respect, and careful thought. The mentorship was shaping the boy in ways that would stay with him for a lifetime. Through small projects, daily lessons, and shared experiences, the boy learned to trust himself and his abilities. He began to see the man as someone who truly cared, someone he could turn to for guidance, advice, and support. The mom was grateful every day, seeing how much her son was growing under this mentorship. One evening, as they packed up tools after a session, the boy looked at the man thoughtfully. "I want to be like you someday," he said quietly. The man paused, touched by the words. "You don't have to be like me," he said gently. "Just be the best version of yourself. Keep learning, stay curious, and care about the people around you." "That's enough," the boy smiled, understanding. He realized that mentorship wasn't about copying someone else. It was about learning, growing, and becoming the person he wanted to be. For the mom, the progress of her son was a daily reminder of how one small act, helping with a car, had turned into a life-changing opportunity. She felt gratitude, relief, and hope. Her son was gaining skills, confidence, and a positive role model, and she knew that this guidance would continue to shape him long into the future. The man had become more than just someone who fixed a car. He had become a mentor, a guide, and a trusted presence in their lives. The boy's journey had begun with curiosity and hands-on learning, but it was growing into something far greater: character development, confidence, and the understanding of responsibility. And so, the story that started with a broken car had grown into a journey of mentorship, learning, and lasting human connection. The boy, the mom, and the man were all learning from each other, growing together, and building a foundation that would continue to influence their lives in meaningful ways. The mentorship continued to grow, and each weekend became something the boy looked forward to more than anything. He had learned to wait patiently through the week, counting down the days until he could see the man again. The projects became more challenging, but that only made him more excited. He loved learning how things worked, but even more, he loved the feeling of being trusted and guided. One Saturday morning, the boy ran to the man's garage as soon as they arrived. He had been thinking about an old bicycle that had been sitting in their backyard for months. "Can we fix my bike today?" he asked eagerly. The man smiled, setting down his toolbox. "Absolutely. Let's see what we can do." They started by examining the bicycle together. The boy pointed out the squeaky chain and a wobbly wheel. The man encouraged him to figure out the problem step by step. "What do you think is causing the chain to squeak?" he asked. The boy thought for a moment and then said, "Maybe it's dry, or maybe it's not lined up properly." "Good thinking," the man replied. "Let's check both possibilities. You can try cleaning it first, and then we'll see if it's aligned correctly." The boy carefully followed the instructions, cleaning the chain and adjusting the parts. The man watched patiently, offering guidance but letting him make mistakes and figure out solutions on his own. When the chain finally ran smoothly, the boy's face lit up. "I did it!" he exclaimed. "You did," the man said warmly. "See what happens when you pay attention and try things carefully?" The boy nodded enthusiastically. "I want to learn more. Can we do something bigger next time?" The man chuckled. "We'll see. We'll keep building your skills step by step." Over the next few sessions, the lessons became more complex. They worked on small engines, electrical circuits, and even basic woodworking. The boy learned not only practical skills but also patience, problem-solving, and how to think ahead. Each project became an opportunity to build confidence, independence, and curiosity. One day, the boy came in looking a little nervous. "I got a bad grade on my math test," he admitted quietly. The man knelt down beside him. "That's okay. Everyone struggles sometimes. The important thing is to understand what went wrong and how to improve." They spent the afternoon going over the problems together. The man didn't just explain the answers. He taught the boy how to approach each problem, how to break it down into smaller steps, and how to check his work. By the end of the session, the boy felt more confident and prepared to tackle future challenges. The boy's mother noticed the changes at home as well. He was more patient when helping with chores, more willing to try new things, and more confident in his abilities. She realized that the mentorship was shaping not just skills but character. The boy was learning responsibility, critical thinking, and the value of persistence. One afternoon, while they were working on a small engine, the boy asked, "Do you always like helping people?" The man thought for a moment. "I do. Helping people isn't just about fixing things. It's about being there, guiding them, and seeing them grow. That's one of the best parts of life." The boy nodded thoughtfully. "I want to help people too." "That's a good goal," the man said. "And you're already learning the skills and mindset you'll need. Keep paying attention, learning, and being curious, and you'll be able to help others in ways you never imagined." The mentorship also helped the boy learn about communication and teamwork. The man encouraged him to explain what he was doing, ask questions, and discuss ideas. Over time, the boy became more articulate, confident, and capable of thinking independently. One day, while working on a project with small electrical components, the boy made a mistake and connected the wires incorrectly. Sparks flew and the boy froze, worried he had done something wrong. The man stayed calm. "It's okay. Mistakes happen. That's how we learn. Let's figure out what went wrong and fix it together." They worked through the problem step by step, and the boy realized that making mistakes wasn't a failure. It was an opportunity to understand and improve. By the end of the session, he had corrected the error and understood the process better than before. The mother watched from the doorway, impressed with the man's patience and the boy's resilience. She felt grateful that her son had someone who not only taught skills, but also instilled confidence and a positive approach to challenges. As weeks turned into months, the bond between the man and the boy grew stronger. They shared stories, laughed, and celebrated successes together. The boy began to look up to the man as a mentor and role model, not just someone teaching him practical skills. One day, the man took the boy to a small car repair shop where he volunteered. He introduced the boy to the staff and allowed him to watch them work on real vehicles. The boy's eyes widened as he saw professionals handle complex tasks. The man explained the steps, encouraged questions, and let the boy observe closely. Afterward, the boy said, "I want to learn everything. I want to be like them." "You will," the man replied. "Keep learning, practicing, and asking questions. You have the curiosity and determination it takes." The mother noticed that her son's confidence extended beyond practical skills. He was more engaged in school, more willing to try new things, and more willing to help others. She realized that the mentorship was helping him develop in every area of life. The man also observed changes in the boy. He noticed how the boy approached problems with a calm and thoughtful mindset, how he asked intelligent questions, and how he applied lessons from one project to another. The boy was growing not just in skill, but in character. One afternoon, while taking a break from a project, the boy asked, "Do you think I can teach someone else someday?" The man smiled. "Absolutely. Once you learn something well, sharing it helps both you and others. Teaching is one of the best ways to make a difference." The boy thought about that. He realized that the mentorship wasn't just about receiving knowledge. It was about learning how to grow and eventually help others. The idea excited him and gave him a sense of purpose beyond the projects. The mother also began to reflect on the impact of this mentorship. She saw her son gaining more than just skills. He was learning values, confidence, patience, and the importance of guidance. She realized how one act of kindness, fixing her car, had grown into something much bigger. Sometimes, the man would tell stories from his own life, sharing challenges he had faced, mistakes he had made, and lessons he had learned. The boy listened intently, realizing that everyone faces obstacles, but guidance, patience, and persistence could help overcome them. One day, the boy brought home a small project he had completed independently. The mother was amazed at how much he had learned in just a few months. She praised him, and he proudly explained how the man had guided him and how he had applied the lessons. The man had become more than just a mentor. He had become a part of their family in a meaningful way. His presence was steady, reliable, and encouraging. The boy felt safe, supported, and inspired. Through this ongoing mentorship, the boy was developing practical skills, life skills, and a mindset that would serve him for years to come. The man's guidance was helping him understand the importance of effort, patience, and learning from mistakes. One afternoon, while they were cleaning up after a project, the boy said, "I want to help people like you do." The man looked at him with pride. "You already are in your own way. Keep learning and caring about others." "That's the most important part," the boy nodded. Understanding that mentorship wasn't just about learning skills. It was about learning how to approach life, face challenges, and help others along the way. The mother watched the scene with a sense of gratitude and relief. She knew that her son had found someone who could guide him, teach him, and inspire him. The mentorship had already begun to change him, and she could see the long-term impact it would have. The man had also grown through the experience. He realized that helping and mentoring someone else was rewarding in ways he hadn't expected. The bond he shared with the boy was meaningful, and he understood that small acts of guidance could create lasting impact. And so the mentorship continued to deepen, shaping the boy's character, skills, and confidence. It wasn't just about fixing things or learning technical knowledge, it was about learning responsibility, problem-solving, patience, and the value of guidance. The boy was growing into a thoughtful, capable, and confident young person, and the mother felt thankful every day for the man who had stepped into their lives. Months had passed since the boy first met the man who helped his mom with the car. The boy had changed in ways that were visible and subtle at the same time. He carried himself with more confidence, approached tasks with patience, and had begun to think ahead before acting. The mom noticed these changes every day, from the way he carefully packed his school bag to the way he tackled problems without frustration. The small lessons in the garage had grown into life lessons. One Saturday, they arrived at the man's garage to work on a bigger project. The man had planned something challenging, restoring an old lawnmower. It was a complicated task, but he knew the boy was ready. He wanted to see how much the boy had learned, not just technically, but in terms of focus, problem-solving, and patience. The boy approached the lawnmower nervously at first. It looked intimidating with rusted parts and worn components. "Is this going to be hard?" he asked, unsure. "It will take time, but that's okay," the man said, kneeling beside him. "We'll break it down step by step. That's how you tackle any challenge." They began by examining the mower together, noting the parts that needed attention. The boy pointed out a loose spark plug and a frayed wire, impressing the man with his attention to detail. The man smiled. "You're learning to observe carefully. That's the most important skill in any repair." As they worked, they faced difficulties. Some parts were stuck, some tools didn't fit properly, and at one point the engine wouldn't turn over no matter what they tried. The boy grew frustrated. "I don't think I can do this," he said, shoulders slumping. The man stayed calm and encouraging. "It's okay to feel frustrated. That happens to everyone. The important thing is to take a breath, think about the problem, and try again. Mistakes are how we learn." They worked through each problem together. The man guided the boy without taking over, letting him figure out solutions, make mistakes, and try again. Slowly, the mower began to come together. The boy's confidence returned as he realized that persistence paid off. By the end of the afternoon, the lawnmower was almost restored, and the boy felt proud of what he had accomplished. "That was hard, but I did it," the boy said, wiping his hands on a rag. "You did," the man replied. "See what happens when you stick with it? Hard work and patience always pay off." The mother watched from a distance, feeling grateful. She saw her son's determination and how much he had grown under the man's guidance. It wasn't just about fixing machines, it was about learning how to face challenges, stay calm under pressure, and keep trying even when things got tough. Over the next few weeks, the boy took on more responsibility in the projects. He started planning steps ahead, gathering tools before starting, and even suggesting improvements. The man encouraged this independence, praising the boy for thinking critically and taking initiative. One afternoon, they were working on a small engine, and the boy successfully solved a problem on his own. "I figured it out," he exclaimed, eyes wide with excitement. The man nodded proudly. "You did it yourself. That's how you grow, by trying, failing, and succeeding on your own." The boy began to see a pattern. Learning wasn't just about instructions, it was about understanding, experimenting, and thinking critically. These lessons extended beyond the garage. He approached schoolwork differently, tried new hobbies with more confidence, and even helped friends solve problems. The mother noticed how much he had changed. He was more patient with her, more responsible at home, and more confident in school. She felt a sense of relief and pride. The mentorship had done more than teach skills. It had shaped her son's character. One day, the man suggested they do a different kind of project. "I want you to plan a repair from start to finish," he said. "You'll decide what tools we need, the order of steps, and how to fix the problem. I'll guide you if necessary, but you'll lead." The boy hesitated, nervous about taking full responsibility. What if I mess up? You won't, the man said firmly. Even if you do, we'll fix it together. The important part is trying and thinking through the process. The boy took a deep breath and agreed. He carefully planned each step, gathered the tools, and began the repair. The man watched silently, offering advice only when needed. The boy made a few mistakes, but he corrected them himself and continued working. By the end of the session, the repair was successful. I did it all by myself, the boy said, grinning from ear to ear. You did, the man said, smiling. And this is how you learn to be independent and confident. Remember, it's not just about fixing things, it's about learning how to think and solve problems. The mother was amazed. She realized that the mentorship had transformed her son from a curious child into a confident, thoughtful, and capable young person. She felt a deep sense of gratitude for the man who had invested his time and energy into guiding her son. As the months continued, the mentorship went beyond practical skills. The man began to teach the boy about responsibility, respect, and the importance of helping others. They discussed everyday challenges, decision-making, and ethical choices. The boy learned to consider consequences before acting, and to approach situations with a calm and thoughtful mindset. One day, while cleaning up after a project, the boy said, I want to help people like you do. The man nodded. You can. Helping isn't just about fixing things. It's about being there for someone, guiding them and sharing what you know. That's how you make a difference in the world. The boy thought about that and realized that he wanted to make a positive impact, just like his mentor. He started paying attention to small ways he could help at home, at school, and with friends. The lessons extended beyond the garage, shaping him into a responsible and caring individual. The mother also noticed a change in herself. She felt less stressed about guiding her son alone, because she knew he had someone she could trust. She saw her son growing in confidence, patience, and independence, and she felt grateful for the mentorship that had started with something as simple as fixing a car. One weekend, they took on a bigger challenge, restoring an old go-kart that the boy had found in the backyard. The project was complex, with many broken parts and missing pieces. The boy felt nervous but excited. The man guided him through the project, showing him how to identify problems, plan repairs, and work methodically. The boy applied all the lessons he had learned over the months. He measured parts carefully, tested components, and made thoughtful adjustments. The man provided guidance, but the boy led the process. By the end of the day, the go-kart was almost complete. The boy's excitement was contagious. We did it, he exclaimed. Yes, we did, the man said, smiling. And look at how much you've grown. You planned, you problem-solved, and you took responsibility. That's how you learn and grow in life. The mother watched, feeling proud and relieved. She realized that her son's growth went beyond practical skills. He was learning life lessons, building confidence, and developing a mindset that would serve him well in the future. Through all these projects and lessons, the bond between the man and the boy grew stronger. They trusted each other, shared stories, and celebrated successes. The boy learned that guidance, patience, and persistence could create real change. The mentorship had become a steady and positive influence in his life. One day, while packing up tools, the boy said, I want to keep learning and helping people. I want to be someone others can rely on. The man nodded, proud. You're already learning that. Keep practicing, stay curious, and always be willing to help. That's how you make a difference. The mother smiled, feeling grateful and hopeful. The mentorship had given her son more than skills. It had given him confidence, responsibility, and a sense of purpose. She knew that the lessons he was learning would shape him for years to come. And so the mentorship continued to grow, bringing challenges, learning, and personal growth. The boy was becoming a capable, confident, and thoughtful young person. The man had become more than a mentor. He was a guide, a role model, and a trusted presence in their lives. What began as a simple act of kindness, fixing a car, had grown into a journey of growth, learning, and lasting human connection. The boy was learning that with guidance, patience, and effort, he could face challenges, grow in confidence, and make a positive impact on the world around him. By the time Part 5 begins, the boy had grown in ways no one could have predicted. His skills, confidence, and independence had blossomed. He approached every challenge with patience and curiosity, and the bond between him and the man who had become his mentor had strengthened into something like family. The single mom watched this transformation with quiet gratitude, realizing that what had started as a simple car repair had turned into a life-changing journey for her son. One bright Saturday morning, the man suggested they take on a new kind of project. Today, he said, we're going to do something different. We're going to help someone else. The boy's eyes widened. Help someone else? Like who? A neighbor of mine, the man explained. She's having trouble with her small garden shed. We can help her fix it and you'll get to lead the project. The boy felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. Leading a project for someone else was different from practicing in the garage. What if I make mistakes? He asked. The man knelt beside him. Mistakes are part of learning. You've done so much already, you can handle this. I'll be here if you need guidance, but this is your chance to apply everything you've learned. They arrived at the neighbor's house, where a small shed stood with a sagging roof and a broken door. The neighbor greeted them warmly, grateful for the help. The boy took a deep breath and began assessing the shed. He inspected the roof, the door, and the walls, noting the areas that needed attention. Remember, the man said, think through the steps, gather your tools, and work carefully. You're in charge and I'll support you. The boy started planning just as he had learned. He decided which repairs to tackle first, which tools to use, and how to work safely. The man watched proudly as the boy took the lead, offering advice only when necessary. As they worked, challenges arose. A board was harder to remove than expected, and the hinges on the door were rusted and stuck. The boy's hands grew tired, and at one point he felt frustrated. But he remembered the lessons he had learned: patience, persistence, and problem-solving. I think I can loosen this with a little oil and some careful tapping, he said, applying the technique he had practiced many times before. Slowly, the hinges moved and the door began to function properly again. The neighbor clapped her hands in delight. You did that? She asked, impressed. The boy nodded, smiling. Yes, I did. We worked on it step by step. The man stepped back, letting the boy lead. See what happens when you think things through and stay patient, he said. By the afternoon, the shed was repaired. The roof was stable, the door worked perfectly, and the walls were secure. The boy had done almost all the work himself, with the man guiding and supporting him when necessary. The neighbor was grateful and praised his effort, but the boy felt proud for reasons beyond recognition. He had taken responsibility, solved problems, and helped someone in need. On the way home, the boy reflected on the day. I never thought I could do something like that on my own, he said quietly. You could, the man replied. You just needed guidance, practice, and confidence in yourself. You've learned that you can face challenges, solve problems, and help others. That's a skill that will last a lifetime. The mother listened to their conversation, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and relief. She realized that her son had grown into a capable, thoughtful, and confident young person. The mentorship had shaped him in ways that went far beyond fixing cars or completing projects. He was learning life lessons that would guide him forever. In the following weeks, the boy's confidence and independence continued to grow. He began helping at home in more significant ways, fixing small things around the house, organizing his belongings, and even helping his mother plan errands and tasks. He was more responsible, patient, and willing to take initiative. One day, he approached the man with a question. Do you think I can teach someone else what I've learned? The man smiled. Absolutely. Teaching others is one of the best ways to reinforce your own knowledge. Plus, it helps you make a difference in someone else's life. The boy felt excited at the idea. Over the next few weekends, he began assisting younger kids in the neighborhood with small projects, passing on the lessons he had learned. The man observed quietly, proud of how his mentee was becoming not just skilled but also thoughtful, kind, and helpful. The boy also applied his skills in school. He began helping classmates with science projects, explaining mechanical concepts and demonstrating problem-solving techniques. His teachers noticed a change in him. He was more confident, articulate, and willing to share his knowledge. The mentorship had empowered him to take initiative in many areas of life. At home, the mother could see the transformation clearly. Her son was no longer hesitant or uncertain. He approached tasks with curiosity and patience, communicated confidently, and showed empathy and responsibility. She felt a sense of relief and pride, knowing that the guidance he had received was shaping him into a capable and thoughtful young person. One afternoon, As they cleaned up after a project, the boy asked, "Do you think I'm ready for bigger challenges?" "You are," the man replied. "You've learned patience, responsibility, problem solving, and how to lead. Those skills will serve you well in anything you do. You just need to keep learning and practicing." The boy smiled, realizing how far he had come. He understood that growth was a journey, not a destination. He had learned that with guidance, effort, and persistence, he could achieve things he never thought possible. Later that week, the man invited the boy to help him with a small community project, repairing a playground swing that had become unsafe. The boy eagerly agreed, ready to apply all he had learned. This time, he not only worked on the project but also guided a few other kids, teaching them how to measure, fix, and problem solve. The man observed proudly, seeing his mentee lead and inspire others. The mother watched her son, feeling a deep sense of pride. The mentorship had created a ripple effect, shaping not just her son but others around him. He was learning to lead, teach, and help others, lessons that went far beyond tools, projects, or mechanics. As the months went on, the boy continued to grow. His confidence was unwavering, his skills were sharp, and his character had developed in ways that were visible in his actions and words. He understood the importance of guidance, persistence, patience, and helping others. One day, he approached the man with a thoughtful look. "Thank you for teaching me all of this," he said quietly. "I wouldn't be like this without you." The man smiled, touched. "You've done all the hard work yourself. I only guided you. Remember, the skills, confidence, and mindset you've built are yours. Keep learning, stay curious, and keep helping others. That's how you'll continue to grow." The boy nodded, understanding. He realized that mentorship wasn't just about teaching. It was about guiding, inspiring, and empowering someone to believe in themselves and take action. The mother reflected on the journey. What had started as a simple act of fixing a car had grown into a life-changing mentorship. Her son had gained confidence, skills, responsibility, and the ability to help others. He was learning lessons that would stay with him for life. In the final months of the mentorship, the boy and the man completed several community projects together, repaired vehicles, and continued teaching younger kids. Each experience reinforced the lessons of patience, problem-solving, responsibility, and empathy. The boy had become a young person who could think critically, lead thoughtfully, and make a positive impact. One evening, after finishing a particularly challenging project, the boy said, "I feel ready for anything now." The man nodded, proud. "You are. Remember, life will always have challenges, but you've learned how to approach them. You've grown in skill, confidence, and character. That's more valuable than anything else." The mother smiled, realizing that her son had not just learned practical skills, but had grown into a capable, thoughtful, and confident young person. The mentorship had changed his life, giving him tools, mindset, and values that would guide him forever. And so, what began as a small act of kindness, fixing a car for a single mom, had grown into a journey of growth, learning, and lasting impact. The boy had become more than just a student. He had become a confident, capable, and thoughtful young person. The man had become more than a mentor. He was a guide, a role model, and a trusted presence. And the mother had found hope, relief, and gratitude, seeing her son transform into someone ready to face life's challenges and help others along the way. The story ended, not with a single moment of triumph, but with a lasting transformation. A young boy empowered, a mentor fulfilled, and a family touched by guidance, patience, and human connection.